What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America.
Yeah! Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the freaking Friday. It's the free-for-all. Oh my goodness, what a week. Unbelievable, stupid. Yes, it was the USA's time to play Nintendo, and it was nuts. We got everything we wanted from it, folks. We got a Republican House of Representatives. But they'll try and take that away. They're going to push it. They're going to push for it, folks. They're still counting those Nintendo game wins. You bet. They're still trying. But we got what we wanted on that, right? We didn't get the Senate, but we got the sex lies and videotape, the bullshit that we were promised we would get. And it's all playing out. Unfreaking believable. Folks, it's the Friday free-for-all. If you're on the preparedmind.club or if you're on subscribestar.com, you're here with me live. You can be Monday through Friday. Today, no different. The one thing different about the Friday free-for-all is instead of me doing my 30 minutes and then your Q&A, we mix it up. It's a shootout. First me, then you, then me, then you. So get your questions into Jolene. I know we've got a few in already that have been sent in, typed in, emailed in. A couple of carrier pigeons came in. But if you're just sitting here live watching, whatever you saw, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you want to discuss, you throw it up there. Jolene will get it out, and we'll all think about it, right? Chance favors the prepared mind. So if we're not talking, we're not thinking. And that's exactly what big government wants. That's exactly what Joe Biden and 90 Proof Nancy and the World Economic Forum / Illuminati, that's what they want. They don't want us to be able to talk. So what should we do in response to that? We should talk even more. We should communicate more. We should put our opinions out there even more to show them, number one, we don't give a shit what they think. Number two, free speech is paramount. And number three, we don't give a shit what they think about us, right? It's not, my life is not for the elites to determine what happens. My life is mine. I own me. That's right. Don't ever let them fool you. You own yourself. Just because someone else says, oh, I got elected, or I have power and authority, or I'm super rich, doesn't give them any jurisdiction over your life. And for them to even claim that is shows that they're demonstrably brain damaged. All right, so where do we want to start today? Big news. A judge has struck down El Presidente Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program and scolds the Biden administration with their opinion. Oh, I've got it right here, folks, right here. What does a judge think of the political left, this attempt at socialist takeover, handing someone else's bills to you? Well, here it is, quote from the judge. In this country, we are not ruled by an all-powerful executive with a pen and a phone. Instead, we are ruled by a constitution that provides for three distinct and independent branches of government. The court is not blind to the current political division in our country, but it is fundamental to the survival of our republic that the separation of powers as outlined in our Constitution be preserved. Does that judge sound like a leftist? Does that judge sound like they watch Fox News or CNN, NBC, CBS? Not a bit. That judge sounds like they went to the Prepared Mind School of Law. That judge sounds like they know what the Constitution is. That judge sounds like they understand what America is. We're not ruled by an all-powerful executive or president with a pen, right? We are ruled by a constitution, 3 distinct independent branches of government. And folks, this was really interesting when he said the court is not blind to political division. That is divisiveness. That is the tools of socialist Democrat leaders. And he said, fundamental to the survival of our republic, not a democracy, folks, the republic. Just in that little paragraph, the word Constitution was mentioned not once, but twice. Touchdown. You see, folks, you are not an extremist. You're not. We're not weak. We are not. This is our country. This judge sounds like they understand. Isn't that interesting when you hear a ruling coming from judges that know the Constitution, know law, know history, and are Americans? I wanted to give you that so you realize, folks, that they know. It's just whether or not the government chooses to listen, chooses to comprehend, chooses to obey their own oaths. All of these judges, folks, these socialist judges, they know exactly what this judge is referring to. They know the law and the rules. They just ignore them. They completely and totally ignore them and try and make up their own rules. Kind of like Oregon passing massive restrictions on gun control. You bet. They think that's cute. They know what the rules say. They know what the Constitution says. They know what a republic is. And they keep declaring that this is a democracy. Democracy is mob rule. We don't want that. We don't have that. There is no democracy that has lasted. And even our republic is under attack, folks. That's why we need to support it, because without it, we have got nothing. Our republic is me and you. And without our Constitution, we don't have a republic. We have a dictator. And the word dick being fundamental to what Biden is. All right, it is the Friday free-for-all. So get your questions in. Jolene, what do we want to put up first? Number 1. Oh, by the way, it's Heidi's birthday. Happy birthday, Heidi. Heidi gets a happy birthday from John. And she is 39. 39. I don't know how old Heidi is, but I'm going to just throw 39 out there because Jack Benny. And if you're old as me or older, you would know who Jack Benny is and why 39 is the number to be quoted. All righty. Let's get Uman back up on the board. It's Fed Up Friday for me, says Uman. Folks screaming end times, apocalypse are as bad as the global warming, folks. Never happens, just keeps pushing the timeline back and call you a denier. Big bullshit. Sounds like someone pissed in Uman's Cheerios, and Uman will piss right back. Now, how about I've got it. Not really the apocalypse or end times, but how about the end of the world as we know it? Right? The Teotihuacan. How about that, Uman? The end of the world as we know it. We've seen that happen many times, right? The end of the world as we know it does not mean the world is blown up, the sun is showering us with radiation, and we'll all die tomorrow. It doesn't mean anything other than, well, the world as we know it is ended, and we've got something different, AKA the new normal. We've been getting a series of new normals, folks. Well, essentially my whole life. Let's see. Let's just start with, yeah, where do I start that one? The end of the world as we know it. I was 1 year old. They came off the gold standard. That changed the world. Let's see. Then we had OPEC change the world by, giving us a fuel shortage in the mid 70s. And then the end of the world as we know it happened when the Clintons took office, and we got 2 presidents for the price of 1 vote. Yeah, 1 vote, wink, wink. Let's see. The end of the world as we know it happened in Y2K. The end of the world as we know it changed with the internet. The end of the world as we know it with 9/11. That's right. September 11th, 2001 was the end of the world as we know it. The great screw job of 2008 with the economy, known as the Great Recession. That was the end of the world as we know it. The beginning of quantitative easing, that is money printing by the Federal Reserve and the United States government. That was the end of the world as we know it. And then the end of the world as we know it that nobody really seems to promote. September 2019. Repo interbank lending in the overnight session ended, and the Federal Reserve started funding bank exchanges overnight so they wouldn't fail. That was the end of the world as we know it, followed shortly by the spring of 2020, when the end of the world as we know it was Cerveza bug. And that's when I said, that's it, folks. Shit has hit the fan. Oh, the end of the world as we know it with Obama and his Obamacare, when Congress under Pelosi started saying stupid shit like, you have to pass the legislation before you can read it. And the mainstream media refused to question that, and the American people choked that big turd down. The end of the world as we know it. The 2020 Nintendo game was the end of that world as we know it, and that world is continuing to demonstrate that it doesn't exist anymore in 2022. On November 8th, the end of the world as we know it continued. So the end of the world as we know it, but not Armageddon. Not Armageddon. Now, thank you, Uman. Get this. Wacky week. Yeah, we had some fun with election night, but get this. At Obama's presidential library, guess what happened? During construction, a noose was found on the site. That's right. Construction was halted immediately because someone found a noose. Let's see. Construction. I'm familiar with construction, having worked in construction since the early 90s, in and around property management, property development. Oftentimes ropes are found. And one of the most scary things I've ever seen is an extension cord. Extension cords are used in construction, and you make a big loop, and you loop the cord around and around and around and around in a big loop, and then you take the end of it and you tie it around the middle, and then you cinch it off so you can hang up a 25, a 50, 100-foot cord on a hook. And it looks like a noose. Can you believe it? In fact, it looks like 2 nooses, a noose on either end. I wonder if it was an extension cord all wound up, tied in the middle, and hung on a hook. Or was it just a piece of looped coax cable? Hello, it's a construction site, ropes, cables, cords. Oh my. Well, of course, in Illinois, they want to call that, an emergency. I'm sure they called in the FBI, some radical, violent political person out there on the right, I'm sure, right? Because political violence is part of right-wing politics. Unbelievable. They're investigating. They will not tolerate hate. While every single Democrat out there has hated on you for not getting your Jim Jones juice, for not getting your juice booster. They hate on you if you don't wear a mask and you try and enter a store or do something any living person has done for the last 100,000 years, right? Get food, get clothing, have a house. These people are outrageously stupid, folks. Oh my God, it's a noose. I bet it was I haven't seen a picture of this news. If you remember months ago, there was a cable loop hanging. Oh my God, it was hanging. Oh my God, hanging from a crane. Well, that's what they use. A loop is something that you loop around and put hooks on so you can lift things with a frickin' crane. Yeah, Juicy Smollett strikes again. Thank you, Mikey G. Yeah, Jussie Smollett, right? One of the biggest lying piece of shit hoaxsters, race hate encouraging pieces of shit. What a sham. And Prickster in Illinois, he had to drag his fat ass in front of the camera and go, the Lynn Noose has been a symbol of hate against Black Americans for hundreds of years. Right. I think a lot of white people have found themselves at the business end of a hangman's noose. Unbelievable. Everything is a noose if you have a piece of rope all wound up. If you have a piece of rope, it's dangerous. Folks, 1 minute it's a piece of rope, and the next minute it's a symbol of hate. Because you put the rope to work. Okay, enough on that shit. What is it that you guys want to talk about? It's now your turn. Get your questions down below, and we'll get them up on the screen. It is from Mike. He said this: I just came across a movie from 2017 called Unlocked. In the last half hour, Michael Douglas reveals the plot that we just lived through, literally calling it medicinal martial law. It's predictive programming at its best. It could make good show material or for Mr. T. I tell you what, Mr. T has been working overtime. In fact, he's got a bunch of work for me to do this weekend. So we got more promo material coming. And Mr. T has already been working overtime. Look out. Yeah. Predictive programming. There's another movie starring Dustin Hoffman and some other actors. I can't remember who. It may have been Morgan Freeman also. A movie called Outbreak. Outbreak, where the government goes in and shuts down a town, locks everyone up, takes people who are infected, kills them, right? Puts them in quarantine and then kills them, burns everything, burns all the stuff. But the government solves the problem by creating a vaccine instantly that saves them and saves the world. Oh my goodness. Thank you, government. It doesn't matter if they destroy your rights and stomp on your life, your liberty, your pursuit of happiness, as long as at the end of the day, we're all safe. Thank you, government. It's unbelievable, folks. Stomping on our rights, destroying our rights. Well, as long as the government feels like they're doing their job and someone, stands in the background going, yay, good job, government, like this. In the Sandy Hook parents versus Alex Jones, a judge has decided to freeze Alex Jones's assets. Why? Well, could it be that Alex Jones is going to move his assets into trust? And they want to freeze it. They want to stop all that. No, how dare you try and protect yourself, Alex Jones? I don't know what Alex Jones has for assets. Real property, cash, investments, precious metals like, copper, lead, brass, and cold blue steel. I don't know. But they do not like people protecting themselves from frivolous, ridiculous fucking lawsuits. Folks, I don't know how the Sandy Hook parents were harmed by Alex Jones talking. I don't know. I don't know that that's harm. People like Joe Biden lie about you and me every single day. They lie about the Republican Party. They lie about Donald Trump. They lie about the Make America Great Again movement. They lie about patriots. They lie about veterans. Oh, yeah. Yes, they do. They lie about veterans all the time because we're dangerous, you see. We're dangerous. Even on Veterans Day, we're dangerous. Unbelievable. It's unfreaking believable that he can stand up there at the presidential podium and say, well, I'm the president and I'm going to say whatever the hell I want. And lie and say we are the ones encouraging political violence. Right? Republicans are. Make America great again. Let me just put it on here.
Extreme MAGA Republicans just don't threaten our personal and economic rights. They embrace political violence. Think about it. They refuse to accept the will of the people. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. MAGA Republicans, extremism. MAGA Republicans, extremism. Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
Yeah. See, he can say that, really. But, hey, if Alex Jones says, there's some fishy shit going on up at Sandy Hook, well, it's time to sue him for, he's well over $1 billion now in the hole. But how dare you try and keep some of your assets safe? Unfreaking believable, right? Now, speaking of Joe Biden, he said if the Republican Party takes control of the House, this is what he said, quote, the American people have made it clear they expect Republicans to work with me. I'll give that to you again. This is Joe Biden. If the Republicans take control of the House, and it looks like they already have, it looks like they have a strong majority in the House of Representatives. He says the American people have made it clear they expect Republicans to work with me. This is called a head scratcher. This is a beard scratcher. Right? Or if you don't have a beard, you chin scratcher. The American people have made it clear by voting in more Republicans, by electing and the Donald Trump America First candidates have won. I mean, he's got a win percentage, like 97% win percentage. And more Republicans have taken over seats in the House. Because of that, that means that the American people who want more Republicans want Republicans in power so they can work with Joe Biden, even though 73%, 3 out of 4 Americans say they hate the economy and what's going on with it. They're pissed off. Unbelievable, folks. More Americans they want Americans want more, right? Trump-backed Republican, his name is Eli Crane in Arizona, has defeated a 3-term Democrat, meaning Democrat has won 3 different times. Like, he's an incumbent. Everyone knows who their Democrat is. And they decided to vote for Eli Crane. He won. But, Americans want more Democrat crap. Right? Now, so this Eli Crane wins, flips an Arizona seat to red. But interestingly, around the country, candidates who had better leads, bigger leads, are losing in their efforts over weak Democrats. See, not all Republicans won, right? But they do have a strong majority. Very interesting to me how this works, right? Very interesting. Karine Jean-Pierre said Democrats will oust more Make America Great Republicans in 2024. This is her quote, one election will not change that. There is still work to be done. You idiot. The Make America Great Again candidates won seats, not lost. You little idiot. Unbelievable, folks. Democrats are going to oust more MAGA. They didn't oust anyone. Make America Great Again. America First candidates won seats. and took control of the House of Representatives. And I pray, and I want you to go to work, folks. Prep to action. I want you to go to work. It is time to go to work. I want you. Right? Uncle John wants you to call, write, text, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, whatever it takes, your representative in Congress and tell them you want different leadership. You want America First leadership. None of this representative out of California, a Republican named McCarthy, who's been just a loser. In fact, yesterday I read the 10 reasons not. The 10 reasons not. At the end of the show, I did 10 reasons not to have Kevin McCarthy as the Speaker of the House. He is a POS rhino. Yeah, there's work to be done, Jean-Pierre, little Karine. There's work to be done. It's called getting rid of the communists. Okay, yeah, I'm on a horse, folks. I'm on a horse. Okay, let's do this. Oh, by the way, look out for looped cables, looped ropes, looped extension cords. Be careful. It just might be a noose. Okay. And speaking of that, right? Speaking of that, never mind, right? Frank Luntz went off on Trump following the elections. Right? He said, enough is enough. It's time to get rid of Donald Trump. Why? The guy has a 97% win record ratio on his coattails, right? On his coattails. The guy, and I understand, folks, right? Trump isn't our savior, but who else is stepping up on the national level and kicking ass? Right? There's all kinds of trouble. There's all kinds of trouble out there. Right. And did someone say noose? Okay. There we are, folks. Let's do this. Let's get to your questions. It's now your turn. It is the Frickin' Friday, and it's the free for all. Jolene, who do we want to bring up next? We've got Latin America preparedness. The results of Clinton and Obama election was known the same day during the evening. That's right, during the election, before the stroke of midnight, it was announced. Bill Clinton wins. Bill Clinton wins. Obama wins. Obama wins. Now, Latin American preparedness continues. Results in other countries are known the same day. Arizona and Nevada results are yet to be determined. Why the delay? Well, I tell you what. Could it be that we have some shenanigans going on? Just a question, right? Folks, back in 2020, we had all kinds of shenanigans in our Nintendo games. That's right, the Great Nintendo Tournament across America on the first Tuesday of even years in November. Yeah, this shouldn't be a big deal. Now, in Nevada, there's some extra special problems going on right now. Now, this is interesting. Earlier in the day in the state of Nevada, Adam Laxalt, speaking of his Democrat opponent in the Great Nintendo game, says, she does not have the amount of votes left to be able to catch us, right? And since he made that bold statement, there's just not enough votes out there for her to catch us. Since making that statement, Nintendo dumps of the score have happened. And now Adam Laxalt may lose. There aren't enough votes available. The districts reporting their Nintendo score don't add up. Same folks down in the state of Arizona for Carrie Lake. She should be stomping. Scumbag, leftist, socialist Katie Hobbs, of course, who's married to a weenie chopping, breast chopping lover of child mutilation, right? She should be in the dust. But somehow the Nintendo game is being played and is trying to favor, how do I want to phrase this? Statistical and moral losers, right? They should be out, but they're somehow staying in because of the way they're counting the Nintendo scores. Unfreaking believable, folks, that this is going on. It's happening right in front of us, me and you. Now, on the backside of the Prepared Mind channel, the Prepared Mind Network, we have the R Syndicate. Folks, the rsyndicate.com. Please throw that up there, man. That is his website where he lists all of the preppers, the patriots, everyone who is a decent, hardworking, real American without a huge criminal record and isn't a giant asshole, gets to be on the rsyndicate.com. The opinion held by some of us, I'm not going to say which members of the R Syndicate have this opinion. I'm going to keep that private and secret and sacred and sacrosanct. The opinion is that Republicans are just as pissed off about what's going on. Yes, they have some victory, but also extremely pissed seeing what's happening. There it is, the rsyndicate.com. Thank you, man. I tell you what, we have some serious problems in this country, and Republicans are tired of seeing their candidates lose. Do we have to put up with 2022 before action is taken? Prep to action. How many more times do we have to see this shit happen before people step up and get involved locally in politics, in the counting of the Nintendo score, and actually get off their butts and go out and play Nintendo at a polling place, right? Get active and start telling people you must vote. If you don't vote, you acquiesce to all the dead people out there who are voting. Yes, my vote was probably canceled by someone's pet, someone who passed away, someone who voted 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. And remember, folks, yeah, these people, they get prosecuted, some of them. Constantly, Democrats are ending up in jail, being prosecuted for election fraud. And they're willing to go to jail to make sure their candidates get into office as freaky, fruity, and crazy as you can imagine. As long as they make it into office, they're happy about it, right? Like this clown, right? This clown right there, right? Baby killing is healthcare. That fucking yogurt-minded fool, right? We all have gray matter between our ears, but not all of us put an egg beater in there and turn it on high, right? In fact, the 2024 ticket is Biden-Fetterman. And you know what their slogan is going to be? Their presidential slogan is going to be, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. And people, yeah, good golly. All right. Enough of my stuff. What do you guys want to talk about? Jolene, who do we have up next? Former Mustang naval officer, an 04, Jocko, Semper Fi, Jocko. He says, Lindsey Graham, that would be light in the loafers, Lindsey. He is a political prostitute. He was accepted into Bilderberg 3 years back. The last year, Trump was El Presidente. Don't forget, he was best buddy to that utter asshole, McCain. And McCainiac. You see, John McCain was a rhino, and John McCain was a sellout, and John McCain was a POS. John McCain posed with terrorists in the Middle East. And those same terrorists were in video and footage. They were the same terrorists cutting heads off of Christian children in Syria. And there's good old John McCain hanging out with them, sending money, support, sending over political advisors, aka CIA and other specialists. Now, don't forget that John McCain was best buddy to McCain, who blew up the flight deck of the USS Forrestal in 1967. I'm done with voting. It's a clown's game. Regrettably, it's no longer a joking matter to me. I'm sorry, man. If we don't vote, these people will take office. They will assume authority. And I understand the frustration. I get it, man. I understand the frustration. But voting is ballot box, soap box, bullet box. That's the order. A lot of people say, a soap box, ballot box, bullet box. I go the other way. Voting is the first step. Participating in local politics, working within the system, getting good candidates in, and then voting. But that's failing, is it not? That's why you're pissed off and you're like, I'm not voting anymore. All of the great patriots of the revolution, all of the great patriots from 1776 and backwards. I don't want to talk about 1776 and forwards. 1776 and backwards. 1775, United States Marine Corps founded, Tun Tavern. 1774, bad things were happening. 1773, bad things were happening. All the way back, folks, years and years before the Declaration of Independence was penned and sent to that fat bastard who sat on the throne in England. Americans were voting, folks, and they kept getting treated like shit. They voted the ballot box. And as that didn't work, then they stepped up to the soapbox and they started preaching to everyone all across colonial America, preaching freedom, liberty, our rights, the philosophy of liberty, folks, the philosophy of freedom. They said, look, this system we have, this ballot box system is not working. Continue to vote, yes, but understand what we're voting for, why we're voting for it, why it's so important to be free, right? Voting is a process in democracy, or it's a democratic process. Not the Democrat Party, it's a democratic process. But without a republic to protect our freedoms, voting is nothing, right? So we go from voting, the ballot box, to the soap box, where we start preaching, folks. Email, social media, YouTube, thepreparedmind.club, right? We need to start preaching from the soapbox, the value of liberty, the value of freedom, the value of our rights. You don't want to abandon any of them. Voting is a right to participate in your republic. We use the democratic principle of voting. Don't give up that right to vote. Don't give up the ability to have some say. Because you can say, look, we've been voting for freedom and liberty, and we've been denied by the government because they continue to pass laws that violate our inalienable rights. Now, once again, this morning, I touched on this. The Second Amendment is a restriction on government. It does not give us permission to own guns. It does not give us permission to defend ourselves. Right? It is not a permissive document. It is a restrictive document, and it restricts government. Up in DC, they are restricted. They do not get to tell us you can't have guns. The Constitution is there to restrict and direct the government on what it is and is not allowed to do. Okay. The Second Amendment restricts government. It doesn't give us permission. We already have permission that comes from on high, the Almighty. That is, folks, standing on the soapbox and letting people know our First Amendment rights. No, the government doesn't give us the right to free speech. The government is restricted from taking that right away from us. So we always have the soapbox. We have the ballot box where we vote. That's a right. We have the soapbox where we can say whatever the fuck we want without someone like Joe Biden saying, your guys are getting too loud, and so we need to silence you. Sorry, you don't get to say that. That's not in your prerogative. That's not in your authority. So F you, Joe Biden. All right, I'm going to get off of this and I'm going to get on to what you guys want to talk about. Thank you, Sir Semper Fi, and happy Veterans Day. And Heidi says, thanks to y'all. Thank you, Heidi. She says, got my R Syndicate sweatshirt and my fake silver-studded leather leggings on. I have never worn the leggings, but I figured that I wasn't getting any younger. There's a band at the Legion tonight. Have fun, Heidi. Enjoy, relax. And we all need to do this, folks. Take some time for yourself. Relax. Take some time for yourself. It's very important. The fight is always here. Got the ballot box. You got the soapbox. And eventually, because tyrants never quit. Tyrants never quit. We'll have the bullet box. That is why we prep. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. The government will continue to violate our rights. They won't stop. And we need to continue to let them know we're out here by both voting and speaking freely. When the time comes, folks, right? When the rubber meets the road and shit hits the fan big time, the government will be warned. And we can tell them, we warned you. We warned you, government. Our patience is growing thin, government, not Biden telling us his patience is growing thin. Our patience is growing thin with people trying to destroy and overthrow our republic, trying to take our God-given rights and exchange them for government permission, government privilege. No, thank you. I'll stick with my rights. Jolene, who is next? We got Oregon Patriot. And he says, I don't care what law Oregon or the feds passed until the Constitution is amended. I'll keep my guns. I'll tell you what, folks, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights were added to the Constitution. The Constitution was amended not to create rights, but to recognize them and restrict the government. The government can't say, I mean, get this, understand me here. Let's just, for the purpose of discussion, the government in Washington, D.C., all of the representatives assemble, and they say, we want to pass an amendment removing the Second Amendment. And for argument's sake, let's just say that passes. They amend the Constitution to remove the Second Amendment. It is no longer in the Constitution. Does our right to self-preservation end at that point? Does our right to defend ourselves end? No, it does not. We still have the right to defend ourselves. We still have a duty as members of the state, as people who live on the land. We have a duty to defend our state, our country, if you will, right? We have a duty to do that. How can we do that without guns? Well, you can't. So now I have a duty, and the government is restricting my ability to do that. See, that duty pre-exists the Constitution. Right? Before the Constitution, the people of colonial America stood up to England and said, we have a right and a duty to throw off you, King George. And they took the guns that they had, folks, and they fought. Oh, by the way, the English tried saying, you can't have guns. Well, sorry, right? Governments always say the people can't have guns before they try killing everyone. So understand this, that right pre-exists the Constitution itself. It pre-exists the Articles of Confederation. That right to defend our country and own weapons pre-existed the Declaration of Independence, and it pre-existed King George. It pre-existed the Magna Carta, the right to self-defense and use tools, guns, swords, sticks, stones, whatever you have, has always been in place. Whatever technology is available for preservation of life and defense of the state, it is a maxim of law that we have that right. Right? It is a maxim of natural law or God's law. So they can pass an amendment, say, to the Constitution, removing the Second Amendment. All that does is remove the in writing restriction on the government. It doesn't change the fact that we have a right an inalienable right. It is one of many inalienable rights that were defined, discussed, discovered through the soapbox philosophy. You see, I could sit and argue with somebody philosophically about the right of self-defense. And they could say, well, we have an army to fight those battles. The people don't need guns, John. And I'll say, what happens if our country's invaded? Well, the army fights them. I go, okay, what happens if the army's defeated? Do the people have an obligation or a duty or a responsibility to continue to fight for their country? Well, no, John, the army was defeated, so the people should obey their new masters. Oh, you mean like in Ukraine, where the people were told to continue to fight and continue to fight and continue to fight and never give up and never give up and never give up. It's okay for them to use all means necessary, but it's not good for America to have that ability. How about America? What if we had someone like Russia trying to invade this country? Well, Russia's evil, so shouldn't we fight them the same way that our politicians have said the Ukrainians need to fight the Russians, right? So it's good for them to have guns, but not for us. It's just the whole thing is completely ridiculous, folks. Even if they tried passing a constitutional amendment to take the Second Amendment away from us, that Second Amendment right, that idea that the government has no authority to impede my ability to protect myself, it pre-exists the Constitution itself. It was just recognized and put in writing. So we had a government with a big sign in front of its face. You see, that right existed. But the early Congress said, look, we need to put this in writing because the people are so concerned and so pissed off that they want these additional protections put in place so the government can't start trying to regulate the behavior of the people. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, Third, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, Eighth, Ninth, 10th, right? All of those, the original Bill of Rights, was to guarantee that the government would not come after us. And where are we now, folks? Almost 250 years later, where are we now? Right in the middle of the shit. All right, next question, please. We've got user 064B6262X. Regarding the Second Amendment, I'm waiting for the Jim Jones Jews to wipe out all of the communists so I can save my freedom seeds. Work smarter, not harder. Semper Fi. I tell you what, yeah, because this week has been about the big Nintendo game, we haven't spent a lot of time on the Jim Jones Juice candidates, right? The Darwin Award is going to go to people that keel over, ruin their health, destroy their own lives, and kill themselves with that crap. Keep lining up and getting your juice boosters, you morons. And if you want that, hey, more power to you. But don't push your shit on me. Don't push your shit on children. And that's exactly what they're going to do, folks. As the Democrats continue to lose power, expect them to more voraciously come after your rights and your freedoms. Don't expect them to give up and quit and go away just because they've lost seats. In fact, now that the election is over, they've got 2 years of action taking before they need to change their tune and start lying. Go, oh, we never told people they have to take it. That was never mandatory. We never said it was safe. And then there's, this idiot here. I had nothing to do with school closures. Right? Lying pieces of shit, folks. They'll push everything they can on us. And then what? Right. They'll push everything they can on us and then lie about it later. That's what they do. They are Democrats, folks. Democrats. I mean, this was brilliant. It's Veterans Day. So Hillary Clinton makes a post. Thank you, veterans, right? And she uses a famous picture, right? Her infamous landing in Bosnia, where she claimed that she was greeted with sniper fire on the tarmac, which was a bunch of shit. I mean, maybe for Christmas she can post a picture of her Benghazi failure and say, what difference does it make now? Yeah. These people are winners, folks. I mean, was it Tom Brokenjaw? No, it wasn't Tom Brokaw. It was that other asshole, Brian, whatever the hell his name was on NBC News, who, these people on the left, folks, they're dangerous. All right, let's move on if we shall. Who is up next? Jolene says, East Texas country boy. He says, Abbott, meaning Governor Abbott of Texas, had me pissed, talking about Texas surplus of $24 billion and all the great things he was going to do with it. Why the fuck hasn't he already done all those great things? Beto could have done a lot of damage with that money. Okay, here's number one. If the government has more money, right, a surplus, give us our money back, Governor Abbott. It's not your money, it's our money. And if you collected more taxes than was necessary, creating a budget, then you're overtaxing the people of Texas. Give them their money back. Don't say, hey, look at all this money, we're going to go spend it. Spending spree, hello? Give the money back to the people and let them spend it how they see fit. And that money will go back into the system and circulate. And Texas will get their money in other ways, right? I mean, they'll increase their budget just so they can spend that money. Unfreaking believable. Yeah. That has me pissed as well, East Texas country boy. And if he had lost to Beto would have an additional $24 billion to spend on what? You guessed it, folks. Equity, racial equity, inclusion programs. Oh, I'm sure he's got all kinds of reparation ideas too. These people are dangerous idiots, folks. It's your money. Demand it back. I mean, government, not just in America, folks. Not just in America, but around the world. Governments are full of screaming idiots. In the European Union, the EU leaders right now are accusing United States natural gas suppliers of profiteering. Well, when we try saying that, well, these people are making a profit off of us, a huge profit, a windfall profit. No one listens to the people. No one gives a shit about the people. But now the leaders in the European Union, they seem to give a shit. Well, we were told anytime that prices go out of line, well, that's just the free market. Yeah, right. That's just Wall Street. That's just London, where speculators are driving up the price. Well, okay, right? I'm sure all of those political leaders don't have any money in Wall Street. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, hello, right? Folks, maybe the European Union leadership shouldn't start a war with their energy supplier. It'd be like, well, we get all of our energy, our oil and gas from British Petroleum, so let's go bomb British Petroleum's headquarters and bomb all of their oil production facilities. Well, these environmentalist wackos on the left, they would probably think that's a good thing. And once again, if we stop oil, stop gas, stop the creation of an exploration of energy, oil, how are they going to grow the food needed to feed all these left-wing lunatics? How are we going to keep people from freezing to death in the winter? Burning cow shit? Well, that releases carbon. Right? Burning firewood, that releases carbon. These people are morons, folks, from the top to the bottom and everywhere in between. All of these socialists are morons. And oh, by the way, they have government authority. They're in charge. Unfreaking believable. And yeah, I can believe it. Okay, let's do this. Let's see what you got next. We got some more. Here's Jason Walker. And he says, I don't believe there will be another election. The globalists have their foot on the gas pedal. No food, no gas, famine, and war on the way. It's why we prep. Jason, I like what you had to say there. The reason we prep is in case there's no food, there's no gas. we go into a famine or there's war, right? For the emergency, right? You bet. That's why we're prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Having a personal plan for the area you live in, that point spot, and then 10-mile radius around you. That's why we prep. As far as the election coming in 2024, sure, we're going to have an election. How transparent is it going to be? Are they going to turn off the cameras like they did in Washoe County, Nevada? And then, oh yeah, we also got a big dump of votes. Really? So now the candidates that we're losing in the Democrat Party are going to do better? Interesting stuff. Yeah, we'll have an election in 2024, maybe. Or we could have a nuclear war next week, next month, sometime early next year, in the spring, the fall. We're always going to have that threat, folks. We're always going to have that threat, and that's why we stay prepared. But if it were to happen, if we were to have a severe famine, a shortage of food, rationing, if we were to have a shortage of gas, oil, natural gas, coal, they want to kill coal, folks. They want to kill the coal industry. Guess what? Yeah, SHTF. You're going to need to be a prepper. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. Now, this came from Russell, and an Antifa member in Portland advocates for political violence, right? What do they say? This is incredible, folks. These people are total morons. Women there in Antifa suggesting that killing men is the solution so that abortion won't be needed. Have they figured out that, they won't get pregnant if they keep their legs closed? So killing men so abortion wouldn't be needed. Yeah. Well, the political leftists, they seem to say and think that, any act of sex, right, is rape. It's always the case with these people that they're just nuts. Just nuts. Okay, we got one more, Jolene says, and I've got one more thing I want to talk about if we've got time for it. We got user 0802874D. Some fancy numbers there. Regarding all these layoffs and terminations at Twitter and Facebook, the majority of them are liberals with no marketable job skills and near zero self-sufficient abilities. They most likely will lose everything. That's a very large number of desperate, left-leaning, like-minded people who essentially hate us. Fun times. I've wondered how long it was going to be before corporations looked around and went, we got a lot of dead wood, right, dragging us down. What do you do with dead wood on a tree? You chop it off, right? It just costs you to keep it around. So people who really are of no purpose to a company, they're just redundant. They make the company look good because they have a certain amount of people that look, sound, see, smell, really cool. But when it comes down to it, if a corporation is to go out of business or cut off employees, yeah, get rid of these extras. Now, companies like Twitter and Facebook, by the way, and Meta, which is a Facebook derivative under Zark Zuckerberg, I think even companies like UPS and FedEx and, Amazon, many of these companies, Walmart is going to shut down a lot of its less profitable locations. These are jobs, right? They're just going to get rid of them. People are going to lose their homes, lose their cars. They'll go home and live with mom and dad, and they complain about mom and dad owning one house or two houses. They work their whole life for what they've got, and then they'll complain about the fact that they're given a place to sleep. That's typical leftists. Typical leftists, folks. Whacked out of their mind leftists. Trophy generation morons who think that they should get a trophy for participating and that everyone can be a winner. Sorry, when companies overspend and underproduce, they go under, and the whole company either sinks or they get rid of the dead wood. These mindless left-wing morons who think that the mere fact that they They went to school. Yeah, they went to school, so therefore reward them. They went to school, right? They want their participation paycheck, even though they didn't produce anything, right? Now, in a company, I know this, whether it's construction or technology or anything else, you keep your most productive people on staff, employed, because they produce, they make money, they get things done. And you get rid of those who are dead weight, who are dragging the company down. Right? If you're sailing a vessel and you're dragging, 10 anchors behind you, how far do you think you're going to make it? Right? You cut those anchors loose, the dead weight. That's where we're at, folks. Hey, chance favors the prepared mind. Aren't you glad you're a prepper? Tell you what, I'm going to be back Sunday for Sunday Night Live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And noon Hawaii time. And 8 a.m. on China time, Australia time. Unbelievable. I'll be back, folks. Will you? Have other people get them the internet address, the URL for Sunday Night Live. When it pops up, and email it out, text it out, and tell people, wake the hell up. Didn't you just see what just happened on Tuesday? Are you prepared? Do you know what's coming next? I'll tell you what's coming next, folks. I am the prophet of prepping, right? Your unabashed, unashamed, secular prophet, teacher, predictor of the future. What's coming is more tyranny and harder times, more recession into depression if they don't change their evil ways and do something fast. Hard times is shit hitting the fan, and we are in it. Are you prepared? Semper Fi, Godspeed. I'll see you Sunday.